A proud supporter of this program, Riverbend Food Bank's vision is a hunger-free Iowa and Illinois.
Whelan Presley Funeral Home and Crematory has been serving Quad City families since 1889. Whelan Presley Funeral Homes are located in Rock Island, Milan, and Reynolds and are proud supporters of WQPT.
Protecting our military men and women after their service, and remembering Cokie Roberts and her visit to help public broadcasting and women in the cities. He was the longest-serving Sergeant Major of the Army in American history. During those 7 years, Kenneth Preston was an advocate at the highest levels of the U.S. Army for all soldiers and family members. Retired from the Army now, he serves with the Association of the United States Army. That's a private nonprofit organization known as AUSA. It also supports the military men and women inside and out of service. He came to the cities to help raise money for military families and veterans in our area. And SMA Kenneth Preston also sat down with me to talk about the needs of those families. Like I was saying, while you were SMA, you were in charge of soldier and family-related matters, training, quality of life. This dovetails really nicely with AUSA, does it not?
Sure, it does.
How critically important has that been in your life, is to make sure that other soldiers are able to not only survive the military, but after the military?
Well, I think that for me, to be able to stay close to the Army and really understand as the Army changes, the mission changes, to also then understand, what is that transition process for soldiers as they return back out to the civilian workforce.
Now, you had spent more than 30 years in the military, starting, in the basics, then you get to be the most senior member. As far as the Army soldiers are concerned, it's a whirlwind for you, but there's a lot of lessons learned, I'd assume.
Sure. I mean, as I look back, when I made the decision to join the Army, I was still in my senior year of high school, and delayed entry program. So my intent was to come into the Army, do my 4 years, get out, take the Montgomery GI Bill, go to college, and become an architect. But ended up falling in love with the Army. It was the people in the Army, the leadership that I worked for, that I ended up staying. Of course, I stayed for a very long time.
Well, and while you were in the Army, of course, you were actively involved in making sure that fellow soldiers were taken care of. And now with the AUSA, I think it's kind of interesting some of the programs that you have been actively involved in. One that I want to talk about was the Army Emergency Relief Program. It helps soldiers and their families facing financial distress. It really hadn't been changed in much of a decade. You've been giving it and your team a greater focus to make sure it helps more people?
Sure. I mean, not necessarily part of AUSA, but Army Emergency Relief has been very good at really expanding the roles, at being able to get out there to empower commanders, to give the individual soldier and their family a little more of a say in how the money is that they use and what they need it for. So it's been very good.
Because it is kind of interesting. I noticed that 36,000 soldiers and families actually were helped, $58 million in aid. That goes a long way to giving stability to military families that may be feeling like they're in a free fall once they leave service.
Yes, and when you look at the money that those soldiers got, it was in the form of either a loan or a grant, depending on their circumstances and what the money was used for.
There is a slogan that in the military and even afterwards saying, leave no comrade behind.
Leave no soldier behind, that's right.
Keep that underlined, right? I mean, that's so important even after the military service is over.
Yes, and really, I mean, that's part of our ethos. And when you look at, what soldiers are taught from coming in from day one and really what they live throughout their career, it's about looking after the brothers and sisters to your left and right, your comrades.
And there's a couple areas that I want to talk about that, because I know that you toured a Kansas City facility when you were discussing areas of homelessness, and you saw some interesting project involving very small houses.
That's right, tiny houses. Yeah.
Tiny houses. First off, tell me about the problem of homelessness for our veterans, for our service members who have left the military.
Sure, and there's probably 1,000 different reasons why veterans become homeless, and when you look at homeless, it's not necessarily somebody that's living out on a street corner or under a bridge, but these are people that they may be living with a friend, sleeping on a sofa, they may be living out of their car. I was down in El Paso just a couple weeks ago and heard a young lady down there speak as she left the Army as a young staff sergeant with 3 children. She was living out of her car. I mean, she had no place to go, and really did not have the wherewithal to really get established. And to be able to go out there, get yourself established into a job or a career, to get back into school, to get the educational needs that you need to kind of get yourself reestablished in a career within the civilian job market. It's very important. And I think that what the Army has done to help that transition through the Soldier of Life program has been very good to make that less an occurrence, and to really set up soldiers that are leaving today more prepared for success when they leave and go out into the job market.
One of the organizers of the Veterans Community Project in Kansas City had a quote saying, "Isolation is a huge thing, reintegration is tough."
That's absolutely. When you've been in the Army, and even if you've only been in the Army for 4 years, you've done your 4 years and now you're going back out again. You've been away from high school for 4 years. So there are some tough decisions now that you have to make. And of course, if you look at, those out there, your peers that, were in high school when you joined the Army, they've kind of moved on with their life. And so now you're going back out into the job market as a high school graduate. You got some job experiences. You're actually sought after by the employers out there because you've got leadership skills, you've got discipline, you're drug-free, and all those things. So there's some really good values that behind soldiers leaving the military. But the challenge is, of course, is getting matched up the right veteran with the right job set or job skill that's out there to get hired on.
Where does this isolation, I guess, come from? Because in some ways you would think that you're a part of a troop, you're part of a bigger thing than yourself. That's what the military kind of teaches you. And then you go out after your military service, and now all of a sudden you become very one
Sure.
individual, very isolated.
Yeah, absolutely. You're on your own. So now you're no longer part of this this small team, this the band of brothers or band of sisters that you've been part of, this small organization, and where everybody looks out for each other. So you're out there now. You're brand new. You're an individual on your own. And you don't necessarily have that camaraderie out there in a lot of our communities across the country. So it's really about getting out there and finding those groups where you can get yourself established and find out what's your priorities. Is it for your career goals? It's the education that you need. Is it employment right away that you need? And what about housing, as we were talking about from a homeless perspective?
At Arsenal Island in Rock Island, as well as throughout the military, and the First Army as well as other branches of the military have been really very active in regards to treating the service member and their family, whether it's issues of spousal abuse, well, let's just start there, or even child abuse. I mean, it seems like the military has been taking a much more proactive vision towards families, not just the soldier,
Sure.
but also the rest of the family.
Sure, and we've always known that we may enlist a soldier and bring them into the Army, but when it comes time to re-enlist, we're re-enlisting a family. And when you look at the demographics of the force today, it's about 52% that are married. So it's a very large population out there that you have to invest into the family resources and taking care of the family if you want to keep the soldier. And we have a great all volunteer force, and for those soldiers out there to continue to volunteer and to continue to serve, particularly the ones that are very best, the talent out there that we want to keep in our uniform. It's really about taking care of the family and providing those programs out there where they have a quality of life that's as good or better than what they can provide back in a civilian career back in hometown USA.
And is that something that you can almost use as a selling point for new recruits? Because as you said, you joined the military, maybe a year or two, maybe 4 at the most.
Yeah.
But what was it that attracted you to a life in the military?
Well, as I look back, and of course, the mid 70s, 1975 was a little different. And,
Very much so.
It was the start of the all volunteer force, but we used to have a joke back then that if the Army wanted you to have a family, they'd issue you one. So the families were not necessarily a priority, and my wife and I, we had these discussions about the things that they do now to take care of families. But it's absolutely essential, especially with the operational pace and tempo of what we're asking our young men and women in uniform to do every day. And they're out there now in 140 countries around the world, really doing very, very important missions. So the families that are left back, these now become single families. So if you have a spouse that's left behind, he or she is a single parent, with the children while
Absolutely.
that soldier is forward deployed.
AUSA, one of the biggest advocates, of course, for soldiers, men and women on Capitol Hill and elsewhere. I mean, major initiatives are going on to protect as well as to make sure that the pay is good and everything else. What's the greatest initiative that you have going on right now?
So I think that for us, the next big thing is the AUSA annual meeting. There in DC, on the Columbus Day weekend. We'll kick it off on that Monday. So that 13th, 14th, 15th, that window of time in there is probably our big event, because it's an opportunity for the Army to showcase itself, to really show all the things, the capabilities that the Army has, but it's also an opportunity to bring industry, to bring the Army, and to bring members of our government together to really know and understand the missions of the Army and what the Army needs to move forward to continue to maintain not only current readiness, but to plan for future readiness in the years to come.
Well, I mean, you have put in 3 decades plus as far as being an active military, and now many decades afterwards being an advocate as well. You must be amazingly proud of the military men and women, even though the military has changed dramatically over that period of time.
It's changed a lot, and as I look at the Army and just the quality of the soldiers, I mean, this is really a testament to our society, and the recruiters that are out there today recruiting the young men and women to find those who want to serve and want to wear the uniform of our military services. The quality today is so much greater than it was as I reflect back to when I was a brand new private and made the decision to join the Army. But young men and women today are very smart, very capable, very technically connected. Mm-hmm. And I think that when you look at the Army today and the types of equipment that we got out there, we need those kind of technical experts. We need those smart, clever young men and women that are not afraid to ask the questions, why do we do this, and to understand commander's intent and the strategic kind of missions that we're doing out there, so that at their level, down where those first line supervisors who are responsible for 2 or 3 soldiers, they're making decisions that have potentially strategic level impacts all around the world.
That was Sergeant Major Kenneth Preston, U.S. Army retired, now with the Association of the United States Army, AUSA. The AUSA chapter based on Arsenal Island is always looking for new members. It serves military men and women and families throughout much of eastern Iowa and western Illinois. You can join by going to their website, ausa.org. And the local chapter has teamed up with Isabel Bloom to sell Freedom Medals, which help fund education and scholarship programs. You can find them at any Isabel Bloom location. Still to come, Cokie Roberts, in her own words. But first, Laura Adams, ready to help you better enjoy the start of fall in our area. She's out and about.
This is Out and About for September 16th through 22nd. There are festivals galore coming. Brouhaha at LeClaire Park, September 21st. Riverson's Festival of Fine Art in the Village of East Davenport, September 21st and 22nd. There's music at Mercado on 5th, the 20th, with Compás del Rancho and Glenview Mariachi. Live at 5 features the Candy Makers at the River Music Experience on the 20th. Music on the Mississippi present the Crooked Cactus Band at the Riverside Park the 16th. Chamber Music Quad Cities present the Recital September 22nd at Trinity Episcopal Parish Hall. Music at Butterworth Center feature the Andrew Collins Trio the 17th. And the Bucktown Review open their season September 20th at Davenport Niswaner Junior Theater. The Clinton Symphony Orchestra opens their season the 21st, And it's time for the Quad Cities Marathon and Festival of Races at John Deere Commons September 22nd, while the Taming of the Slough Adventure Triathlon on Sylvan Island kicks off on the 21st. The NAMI Walks, the 5K, takes place at the Greater Mississippi Valley Veterans Memorial Park in Bettendorf the 21st, and grab your fur baby for Geneseo Bark in the Park September 21st, while the Veterans Classic Car Show happens at the Mississippi Valley Fairgrounds the 21st. The German American Heritage Center hold their Fall Frolic Benefit Gala at the Outing Club September 20th, and on stage Circa 21 present the musical Singing in the Rain, while Playcrafters present the drama The Wolves through the 22nd. For more information, visit wqpt.org.
Thank you, Laura. Beth Ann Heitgerken has been featured on our program over the past few years, and we wanted to feature another solo performance from her as she joined us on the stage of Moline's Black Box Theater. Beth Ann Heitgerken with Use Me Up.
You were lonely, I was sweet, holding hands and touching feet. I'm afraid to admit wrong. I'll shut my mouth and carry on. Write a song for you. I'll paint a picture with a sky dark blue, sheltered lies and crooked truths, satin sighs and tears of you. Use me up again. Use me up again. There are days when I can't find an end in sight to ease my mind. Then I take a breath, let it out till nothing's left. I wish so many things, but wishes rarely often bring what I need. Soothe my soul, I can't get back the things I stole. Wait for your return, let the past offenses burn. Sorry for your heart, broken, tried to sew the parts. Love the way you say my name, write to you although in vain. Paper that is plain as day, my poems, they have the strength to say the card in rhymes and use me up one more time. Somewhere over the rainbow, skies are blue. Somewhere over the rainbow, I'm with you. Somewhere over the rainbow, bluebirds fly. You are over the rainbow, where am I? Do do do. Do 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 the card written in rhymes ends. Use me up one more time. The card written in rhymes ends. Use me up one more time. The card written in rhymes ends. Use me up one more time. Gave my heart and gave my love, gave the earth and moon above. But love requires give and take. I took your heart to balance fate. Is there no other way to take all of the hurt away, except to let you go? If that is true, I'll never know. Late at night I rest my thoughts, dream of you and what we sought years ago, while in the park, on the stage and in the dark. We are far removed from them. Our hearts are far. I'll try to send my love on down the street, addressed to you and wrapped up sweet. The card written in rhymes as use me up one more time. The card written in rhymes as use me up one more time. Use me up again. Use me up again. Oh, use me up again. Use me up again.
Beth Ann Heitkirchen with Use Me Up. She started at National Public Radio in the late 1970s, but over the past 40 years, veteran journalist Cokie Roberts chronicled the politics of our time while helping women grow, not only in the media, but in countless other areas they may not have even considered. In 2014, she came to the cities for an event at Augustana College and to help raise money for WVIK Radio. I got a chance to talk with her on that March day in 2014. Let me start with the question having to do with your role in covering politics in Washington. Is there really any compromise? Is there any chance that everyone can get along? And is it really as bad as everyone says it is?
It's really bad in Washington right now. And there's not a lot of prospect for change, certainly not before the election, and maybe not after that.
It always seems that one group is always blaming the other, and that seems to be the partisanship angle seems to be the biggest of the problems.
Partisanship is part of our heritage. We've always had very fierce partisanship in this country. It is exacerbated at the moment by a whole variety of factors, but it is very serious at the moment. But one thing that's important to keep in mind is that the American people are deeply divided on the fundamental question dividing the two parties. What do you think should happen? Should the government spend more and do more, or spend less and do less? The population is divided 50-50.
We also often criticize our government for not getting anything done. Is that fair? I mean, you do see...
yeah, that's fair.
You do see the Affordable Care Act coming, but you also see so many judgeships that aren't decided, a myriad of issues that aren't decided.
There are a lot of things that the government's not doing, but there are a lot of people who think that's a very good thing. So, you know, it's not something that you can say is good or bad. In fact, just Monday, USA Today came out with a poll that showed that people by 55%, that's the disapproval of government not getting anything done. It had been 74% in a poll last year, the same poll last year, asked the question about should government do more, and it was phrased in a way where you would think everybody would say yes, because it was something like, should government do more to do good, or some such thing. And 74% last year said it was bad that government wasn't doing more to do good, and now it's down to 55%. So there's a lot of concern about government.
But it's also interesting to see when you look at Congress, you look at the White House, and see how government is changing. Greater participation on minorities, not perfect, of course. Greater participation among women, not perfect, of course. Do you see that as perhaps being the start of at least waves of change in the future?
Oh, waves of partisan change are certainly coming as a result of greater participation by minorities and young people, and to some degree women. And so we've seen elections completely change outcomes because of those participations. But I don't see that leads to any kind of compromise or consensus. Maybe just the opposite.
Why do you think just the opposite?
Well, when you have groups coming into the voting population that haven't voted before and have different views than some of the people who were the majority, that leads to debate.
I want to talk to you about your book, Founding Mothers, Remembering the Ladies. What made you write it? What made you think that this is a story that has not been heard?
Well, I wrote Founding Mothers for Grown-Ups in 2004, and then the sequel to it, Ladies of Liberty, came out in 2008. And they were very popular books, and the fact is that people really do want to know what women were doing in our country, particularly in this crucial time, the founding time. And so the publishers asked me to write a children's version, and so I was delighted to do that. It turns out that children's book illustrators are very busy people, so it took a long time to get it done, but Diane Good, the illustrator, has done a wonderful, wonderful job, and it's a terrific book for kids.
It's got to be a love of yours to be able to write a book like this and relate the past to the present and affect the future for children. Is there stuff that you learned that you were surprised?
Oh, absolutely. I learned a great deal in writing these books. I was amazed at how deeply, deeply political the women of the 18th century and early 19th century were, and how everybody expected them to be political. Nobody expected them to sit at home and pour the tea. They were expected to be participatory even though they couldn't vote.
Well, and talk about the sacrifices that they made as well. As the men gathered in Philadelphia or whatnot, they're the ones that were keeping the homes and the farms alive with the British knocking on the doors oftentimes.
Exactly.
And that's kind of a sacrifice that you don't really even think about.
That's right. I mean, at one point, Abigail Adams wrote to John Adams, "We women are really the best patriots because we're making all of the sacrifices and suffering all of the hardships for the cause. And if we win, you men will hold office, you'll be held in high acclaim, and we won't even be able to vote, so we're better patriots."
And Abigail Adams was also another set of eyes from the front line of Boston.
Absolutely. The British were there. I mean, John Quincy Adams wrote at one point, "My mother, for 12 months with her infant children, was subject any moment to be butchered in cold blood or carried off as a hostage to Boston." It was very dangerous. John at one point wrote to her and said, "If it gets really dangerous, take our children and fly to the woods." And my reaction to that is, "Thanks, John. I hope you're having a nice dinner in Philadelphia."
How incredibly lucky we all are that those letters are preserved, that they were written in the first place, that they were so honest and truthful, but that they've been preserved.
Well, women's letters tend to be much more honest, and men's letters to women are much more honest because they don't expect them to be preserved. Whereas their letters to each other, they absolutely knew would be saved and published. So they're very self-aware and pompous. Whereas their letters to women tend to be much more filled with their anguish and their humor and their gossip. And the women's letters to each other are quite fabulous. Preserving them is a difficult thing because people didn't care what women thought. So it is very, very lucky that we have a few.
So tell me a little bit about being a Washington Beltway person. What do you think of the Iowa caucuses?
I hate them.
I have never talked to a Washington journalist who didn't. So is it mostly a thing that you don't like the caucuses, you'd rather see a primary, or do you just hate Iowa?
No, we love Iowa.
Of course.
Everybody loves Iowa. It's just a crazy process, and it's a process that we put much too much emphasis on. But Iowa certainly plays into that and would have a bloody fit if we didn't.
Journalist Cokie Roberts, who died last Tuesday from cancer. It was first detected in 2002, but came back to claim her life this week. She'll be remembered by public broadcasters for her professionalism, her wisdom, and her passion. And she'll be remembered by countless women for showing us all how it's supposed to be done. Cokie Roberts was 75. On the air, on the radio, on the web, and on your mobile device. Thanks for taking some time to join us as we talk about the issues on the cities.
A proud supporter of this program, Riverbend Food Bank's vision is a hunger-free Iowa and Illinois.
Whelan Presley Funeral Home and Crematory has been serving Quad City families since 1889. Whelan Presley Funeral Homes are located in Rock Island, Milan, and Reynolds and are proud supporters of WQPT.